Hey, it's Halicue. And before we even get into today's wonderful episode, I need us to take a moment. I want us to sit back. I want us to calm down. I know how it went for y'all this week. I know it probably started off great. I know you probably got off to a nice, even, mellow start to the week. You probably had the best of intentions, and then by a smooth Wednesday or Thursday, you were walking around with your shoulders all the way up by your ears. I know your pretty jaws clenched, and you probably feel like you've been carrying the weight of the whole damn world again. But not today, not right now. Right now, you're just going to be. This is the safest, most fun, most calm, and most empowering place on earth for the 92%. You're finally home. You belong here, and we're going to take a second. And before we even get into it, I'm going to make sure that you actively choose yourself today. And we're going to do that by doing the world's easiest, simplest breath work. Just to calm down the central nervous system and get ourselves all nice and ready to use this podcast and use this time together to keep choosing ourselves over and over and over again. First, we're going to inhale through our nose for 4 seconds. And when you breathe in, I want you to fill up like you just walked into your favorite auntie's house and you're smelling Sunday dinner on the stove. Inhale in for 4 seconds. Then we're going to hold that breath for 4 seconds. Just hold it in. Let it marinate. Let it settle into your spirit. Now we're going to slowly exhale through our mouth as though we're breathing into a straw and we're blowing bubbles like when we were little. Exhale through your mouth for 4 seconds. Make it a good exhale, like you just took off that too tight bra at the end of the day. We all know what it is. Let it go. And now I want you to repeat that one more time, nice and easy. Inhale through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold the breath for 4 seconds. And then exhale slowly through the mouth for 6 seconds. There. We just did it. You just chose yourself. Do you feel that? That's what it feels like not to be the world's workhorse for just a few minutes, just a few seconds. We're going to keep that energy today. We're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it restful and remember that it's ours. This is our time. So welcome to Hey, it's Halicue. I'm Halicue Hannah. I am a thought leader, a content creator for my beloved, the beautiful, the bold, the brilliant 92%. And today we're going to be talking about who we are. Because a lot of us are wondering, who even is this? What even is this? Do I belong? Do I not belong? And I want you to know, if you found your way here, yeah, you belong. You belong. We're going to talk about who the 92% is, because somebody's going to ask you. I promise. And I want you to be clear, and I want you to be confident in your answer. I know why you're here. You're here because you feel it too. You feel this shift, this stillness, this certainty that something is different this time. As Black women, we are done fighting for people who refuse to fight for us. And the world really is shocked right now, y'all. But here's the real question. Why didn't they see it coming? So today we're going to answer, who are the Black women who call themselves the 92%? Why did we step back from giving free labor, political labor, emotional labor, and physical labor? And for us, and most importantly, and what I really, really, really am going to be working so that you can take this away today, is why rest for us, the Black women are the 92%. It's not just personal, but it is a strategy for us over the next 4 years. And I will always be truthful with you. This is not just about one election. This is about centuries of extraction from us. This is about us being the backbone of democracy and never being allowed to lead it. This election was simply the moment that we decided we are absolutely done. And if you can feel this shift, if you understand already that this conversation is about you, I want you to hit the subscribe button right now. And I want you to stay for the entire podcast, for the entire video. If you're joining us from YouTube or from Substack, I want you to stay because we've got 3 beautiful journal prompts embedded into today's broadcast and show. And trust me, you are going to want to sit with this. It is going to feel so good and so restorative for you. It's going to give you everything you need to keep going for the next 7 days until we meet again right here. And if you already know you're a part of the 92%, maybe we hang out together on TikTok, maybe we hang out together on Substack already. You already know you are home. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Let's go ahead and jump into the facts and the truth about who we are as the 92%. The 92% are the Black women of this country who have always been the fixers, the thinkers, the ones who show up to pull this country back from the brink. We voted, we mobilized, we strategized because we always do. And then when America turned its back on us again, we saw clearly. We saw it clear as day that we do not owe this country our continued exhaustion. I know this because I was raised to be this woman. I was the brainy Black girl that grew up in Mississippi who was taught that if I just worked harder, if I studied longer, if I proved myself beyond a shadow of a doubt over and over and over again, twice as beautifully, twice as brilliantly, 10 times as articulately as everybody else, I would finally be respected. They would finally have to give me a place at the table. And yet we've all seen that respect was something we never should have expected. Respect was never the plan. Extraction, taking from us, mining from us, harvesting our energy. That was what the plan has always been from day one of this nation. And just to be real about who we are, let's start with the part maybe everybody doesn't know, but they are certainly finding out, right? Because as so many people have said before, if this country was truly a meritocracy, Black women should and would be at the very, very, very top of the heap. We got close and we're going to get there again. But the truth of the matter is, again, if it was a meritocracy, we would be absolutely at the very top. Black women hold the highest percentage of college degrees among all racial gender groups. And do y'all know now? We know this. We know this, but other people are just becoming privy to it and they're very shocked and they're very upset about it. That's all right. They'll be fine. Education wasn't just something we held as a value in my family. Both my grandparents were educators. My grandfather, y'all are going to hear me talk about Mr. Needham Jones Sr. over and over and over again, and about Miss Myrtle Jones, my maternal grandmother. My grandfather was the principal of the Black high school in a town called Wiggins, Mississippi. And my grandmother, a woman that earned her master's, even an MBA, was a teacher as well. So, for somebody like me and somebody like you, I know a lot of us have educators in our family. Education wasn't just something we valued. It was our armor. It's what we protected ourselves with. We became PhDs, JDs, MBAs. I know a lot of y'all listeners are working on a terminal degree right now. I know that because that's just who we are. And we did all this because they would have to call us professor. We studied to survive, and yet we are still underestimated. We're still talked over. We're still erased. And factually, statistically, Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in this country. Black women-owned businesses grew by 50% between 2014 and 2019, more than any other demographic. Oh my goodness. And since then, on Beyonce's internet, there's so many ways for us to create our own channels, our own digital products, our own virtual businesses. I know that number has skyrocketed. Now, here's a funny story. I myself am an entrepreneur. I'm a solopreneur. I own a tarot and astrology events business. And the funny thing is, y'all are going to hear me talk about this a lot. If you're following me on TikTok, if you hang out and you subscribe here on YouTube, I want you to do that, by the way. Hit that subscribe button. And if you hang out with me on the Hey, It's Halicue community on Substack, I talk about us starting businesses all the time. It's one of the reasons I want us and I want to support us pulling back, resting, regenerating, because I want us to start our own businesses. I pray every day that at least one Black woman within the sound of my voice gets to leave the corporate meat grinder that just grinds up Black women, even though often we're the most productive people they have within like 100 feet of them. So I say this, I support Black women in business all the time, starting our own businesses. Although some of us, I mean, it's supposed to be corporate baddies. Some of us get down there, but I really, really, really love, and I think it's important, this idea of us owning our own business, our own way to generate our own income that doesn't depend on anybody else, because nobody is as dependable as we are. And I want that dependability, our sustainability, our ability to stick with it, our ingenuity, our intelligence around entrepreneurship. I want us to focus that inward on ourselves. So I talk about it all the time, and I support it, I suggest it. But when I was a girl, when I was much younger, when I was a girl and in my early 20s, my sister and I joke about this. I said I would never be a businesswoman because my mother owned her own business. She owned her own law firm. And in addition to that, she was also an elected official, a judge. That business, our law office, and I call it ours because I grew up in it. My father started it. My mother got it into divorce, and it's still a thriving business to this day, and it's still within my family to this day. But my goodness, to build it and to maintain it, I watched her grind herself into powder, and I'm grateful to her for that business. She built it. She carried everything. And y'all, even now, as I think about it as a little girl, y'all know my father actually had a garden in the back of that law office. There was like a little bit, maybe an acre and an acre and a half behind it. I still remember it like it was yesterday. He was very, very proud of it. I thought it was weird at the time, but now I see how beautiful it was. But when she finally got it, she knew that was the thing that was going to enable her to have some degree of liberty and freedom. And so she worked and she worked and she worked. I worked in the office, like in the front office. I grew up learning how to file, learning how to keep a desk clean, learning how to answer phones, how to take messages literally as a 9 and 10-year-old little girl when I was sick. And Lord knows I had to be so sick to even consider staying home. When I was sick, I was not at home. I was in the library of the office, which is where she kept all of her, the law books and the law journals lining the walls, where she would meet with more than one client. We would sleep under the big long table that was in the library. So that office, her practice, she used it to provide for us, not only for our little family, but oftentimes for other for other members of our family and people in the community, because that's what Black women do. And now I see it so clearly. She never should have had to. The office should have been a little bit more of a source of joy for her, but she worked it constantly and continually. Through it, she provided for us very well. We were able to go on vacation, but she was always, on the phone. She had to always check in, and God forbid we ever said anything like, "Mom, can't we just enjoy ourselves?" She would remind us that there was that business that enabled us to have a house, enabled us to have food and be able to go on, the nice vacation she was able to take us on. And my mom is just one of many Black women that was that way about their business. They were serious about that business because they knew that it kept them from having to be under the heel and under the boot of the oppressor. And y'all, I grew up in Southern Mississippi. So, I understand now, of course, why she took it so seriously. I said I was never going to have a business because it meant I would never be able to take a break. Like even when we're on vacation, quote unquote, my mom never got to be on vacation. And yet when it was time for a Black woman to lead this country, America said, "Not you." And I tell you this story to let you know, instead of getting mad in this moment as the 92%, and you'll know you're a member of the 92%, is in that moment of getting angry and being hurt, we also got crystal clear. And instead of fighting back, we decided to make a decision. And why did we step back? Why did we step back? Well, first of all, because America has been running on the unpaid labor of Black women for centuries. And we finally just pulled the plug. From the fields to boardrooms to civil rights movements to corporate diversity panels, we have been asked to fix, lead, to fight. And when it was finally time for this country to return the favor, to say, "Well done, what good work," for decades, some people would say for centuries, what do we get? Absolute silence. A big old F you. So this time, we, the Black women of the 92%, we are choosing ourselves. And this decision is radical. I know it. And I really want to take this time to say, because we are so used to being the active ones, the ones that lead, the ones that just, you know how in my daughter's soccer team, it was very beautiful to see when one of my daughters was a forward. And there were some times when she was like, okay, to heck with teamwork. I just got to, if we want to win, I just got to do it myself. I just got to put the team on my back. I got to do something clever and then just go for it myself. Like go to goal, go to goal, go to goal. So I understand that. And that is what we as Black women for this country have been doing for so long. We are so used to just putting the team over our back and going to goal that this seems kind of weird. And some of us feel probably a little bit strange, a little bit unstable about it right now because we're so used to doing that, right? We're used to being the yang. We're used to being active. Some may say that we're used to taking more of the, quote unquote, masculine role. But rest, a little bit of a retrenchment, a pull back, the role of observation, the role of taking care of ourselves, the role of being calm, the role of being mindful. That is our political strategy now. Not because we're weak. I mean, we're tired, but we ain't never been weak. But it's because we are too powerful and we are too important to the ultimate success of the world, much less this nation, to keep burning ourselves out for people that don't value us, y'all. And so that's who we are. That's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why we're doing it the way we're doing it. And so so our work, our political work, our mission in that work, how we achieve our objectives in this work. And that's what we're going to be talking about every week. And it's going to be fun and it's going to be light. It's going to be a lot of smiling. It's going to be a lot of laughter. Here's what we're going to be doing. First of all, you're going to hear me say rest all the time. And y'all, this podcast, this movement, it's a little different than other ones that are out there. Even other podcasts that are about mindfulness and rest for Black women. This is very different because there's a sense of urgency now. We have a different set of purposes, of foci, right? We're dealing with a very different world and a different place than we were dealing with just y'all 6 months ago. We really are. The coup is on. The nation is crumbling. It's kind of strange and it's scary out there. And I know it seems weird that in the midst of all this insanity, we're resting now. That's what we're doing. As the 92%, as the Black women of the 92% that showed up on force and en masse to do the right thing for democracy, we're resting because we need to actively heal from the chronic stress of being this country's unpaid caretakers. We have to do it. It's the most important thing for us to do. And I know it seems strange, but that's what we're doing. We are immersing ourselves in our creative pursuits. We are building for ourselves. We are pouring into our own art because y'all know the truth of the matter is, and I consider myself a creator. I create with audio. I create with video, making this connection with us as Black women. And a lot of other Black women do it different ways, and a lot of classical ways, as dancers, as writers. That's another reason I want y'all to come over from Substack. We have got all kind of artists over there. We have intuitive Black artists. We have what I like to call fitness artists. We have graphic artists. We have singers. We have dancers over there on Substack. And all of us love to write and talk about it and create. And I think that this lifetime, these centuries of us as Black women being the burden carriers of this nation, I think it's hurt no one worse than those of us that are artistic. We've always been told, ain't nobody got no time for that. Ain't nobody sending you to college for you to sit around and be some ballerina or to sit around with paints or to sit around sculpting things. That's over. We're building ourselves. We're pouring into our art. We're pouring into our businesses. And we're pouring into our own communities. Another defining factor of who we are, right? It's not just the rest. It's not just the creativity, but we're going to be doing it with joy and laughter. We are rejecting this expectation that we always have to be serious. We always have to have our brows furrowed. Everything with Black women, it doesn't always have to be methodical, and we don't have to always constantly be laboring to be taken seriously. Our joy right now is political. And our ease is our rebellion. Another thing that makes us who we are as the 92% is the dreaming and the building that we're going to be doing over the next 4 years. We are no longer waiting for permission to create the future that we deserve. We're manifesting abundance. We're building legacies, and we're making moves that I promise you they will never see coming. Y'all, they still sitting around waiting for us to show up in marches. I think y'all are going to find that I have an issue with marches and people begging us to show up at marches and now getting angry and trying to make us feel guilty about marches. And if you want to know how I feel about guilt and how and why we as Black women and the 92% are going to get rid of it, listen to the episode right before this, okay? It's called Guilt-Free and No Gaslighting. Okay, go back and listen to it. And so now maybe you're wondering, like, what happens now? I want you to know, and I joked earlier this week that I had a crisis of confidence. And I know, me, right? Like triple Leo, Sun, Mercury, and Mars. I actually had a crisis of confidence. It happens. It was very brief. It was no longer than like 15 minutes, but ooh, that 15 minutes was uncomfortable. I was deeply uncomfortable to me as Leo to have a crisis of confidence, but it does happen. But I recovered from it very quickly. And I joked that I heroically lead myself right back into action, right back into the old right back into the old Halicue. If you ever have a crisis of confidence, tune into Hey, it's Halicue. I'm gonna hold your hand. I'm not even gonna put a napkin in between them. Hold your hand. I'm gonna help get you through it. And so this may sound a little delulu, but I feel like the 92% didn't lose. I feel like we didn't lose at all. If it were not because of the results of the election, we wouldn't call ourselves the 92%. We wouldn't have all taken this action collectively, all together at the same time. That's how I know it's magical. We didn't lose. We simply stopped playing a rigged game. So y'all, we're almost to the journal prompts, but so listen, before we get into a few final thoughts and the really juicy journal prompts we have for this week and that we're going to be talking about and we're going to be discussing over on Substack Live and on YouTube Live in the week coming up and over the weekend. I think I'm going to do it over the weekend. I want you all to go ahead right now while you're listening to me, looking at your phone. You can still listen to me while you do this. I want you to go on over to Substack and I want you to subscribe to my Substack. The link is in the show description because this is where we strategize. This is where we connect and build this new era of rest as our rebellion together. And y'all, I say this all the time. I talk about who we are as the 92%. I like to keep us galvanized. I like to keep us laughing. I want to keep us motivated. But a lot of the juiciest and most important things we're going to be talking about over there, right? Because it's a quiet rebellion. Real gangsters move in silence, right? So Substack is where we're doing that. It's where we strategize, connect, and we're building this era of rest and rebellion together. And I want you to listen to this podcast. Hey, it's Halicue, because these conversations are too important to only happen once. And I also say, and the reason I call it Hey, it's Halicue is because every time you hear my voice, I want you to get ready to calm down that central nervous system, to relax the muscles in your shoulders and your upper and in your lower back, to kind of calm that beautiful place right here where our third eye sits, to unclench that beautiful, strong jaw of yours. I'm going to be here breaking all of this down every single step of the way. And there's so many ways for you to support this movement if after hearing all this, you realize maybe you're not a member of the 92%. I mean, you may very much align with and be interested in our cause. And if you support the rest and the regeneration of Black women, if you're not trying to extract from us, if you're interested in building us up, supporting us financially, supporting Black women and our rest, hey, you belong. Listen to this podcast, listen to it over and over, share the video with every single Black woman you know, letting her know that you support her rest and her regeneration. You may not understand it. You may not necessarily be able to participate, but you can participate in the way that would help us the best if you're truly interested in helping. Support the work that we create from this movement. Support Black women in their education. Support them in their businesses. And now let's get into our journal prompts. I love this. I think of journaling, and I also like to use different tools like oracle cards, even tarot cards, to help me heal and to help me process, to help me be creative, to help me think strategically and a lot of times creatively, and as they say, out of the box. So here are our journal prompts. I want you to really get into them. First of all, where am I still laboring for others at my own expense? Where in my life am I still laboring for others at my own expense? And I know y'all still doing this because we do it naturally. We have been doing it for so long. I catch myself in the act of doing it all the time, going that extra mile, doing that extra nice thing, smiling when we don't want to smile just because we don't want people to be intimidated by us, right? We don't want people to be, on guard when they see us, a beautiful, Black, loud, creative Black woman, like living life. We tamper ourselves down. We moderate ourselves. Okay. That's work. That's effort when we do that. When we do things to stop being our full selves, like that's work. And we are going to stop doing that. So that's your first prompt. I want you to get into it, enjoy it. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to have more discussion about it. And if you want to share about it, come look for me and look for the live on the Substack. So why it's important to kind of follow me everywhere so you know when this stuff is going on, right? So over on TikTok, over on Meta, on YouTube, and absolutely on Substack, just get in there. Come over there. There are so many beautiful, brilliant Black women creating over there in so many different ways, on video, with their essays, on lives, on text, on notes, which is kind of like a form of what Twitter used to be. It's so much fun. Come on over there and join us. So that was our first journal prompt. Our second is, and this is a little dreamscaping, a little future visioning. Definitely take your sip of tea, close your eyes as you do this. I want you to journal this. What does a life of ease and rest look like for me? What does a life of ease and rest look like for me? And get really deep and go into this, y'all, because all of us are different. Like we always say, like Black people aren't a monolith. Black women show ain't a monolith. Seriously, even in our own families, we may favor one another, but we're all very, very, very different. Those of us that are mothers know that. These children may look the same. Even twins may look the same, but they're very, very, very different people in their essentials. And as Black women, absolutely, that is the case. So think about it. If you're a busy bee, you really just like being kinetic and active. Yeah, it's not going to look like you taking like a nap every week. Right? It's not going to look like you finally catching up on every single episode of Stranger Things, like sitting still, like under a blanket. It's not going to look like that for everybody. For those of you that are dancers, yeah, that's going to look very different. Maybe your life of rest and ease is instead of sending extra money to Nene or whatever, because she can't ever keep a job or is always needing $20, maybe you spend it on, the Korean head spa, or going to get yourself a nice foot and leg massage to support your dance and your movement medicine, so it looks differently for each of us. So let's be honest with ourselves. And you can take it bit by bit. It doesn't have to be over the rest of your life. Take it, break it down. What does it look like this week, this month? Okay. So that's our second prompt. And number 3, what is a practical way I can redirect my energy into joy, creativity, and self-preservation? And I want you to break that down into all 3 and answer each one of those. Redirect your energy into joy, even if it's something as simple as, because I also want for this podcast to be practical, even if it means, I'm not taking this work home today. I don't know what I'm going to do after 5 o'clock, but it won't be work. It won't be doing something to get ahead the next day, just not doing that no more. Let's take self-preservation. How can I redirect my energy into self-preservation? Say you are interested in starting your own business where you control your own time. You've been looking into something like court reporting. Court reporting, I don't know if y'all know this, like it pays very well and you can train to become a court reporter, and then you set your own hours, or maybe you work for an agency, but where you set your own schedule. So maybe that's self-preservation for you. So that's how this journaling prompt can work for you. How can I redirect my energy into self-preservation? In just researching X thing that can help me start my own business and help me own more of my own time. So those are our 3 journal prompts this week. Oh my gosh, get into those. Really, really, really enjoy those. And just to begin to put a period on the end of this sentence, y'all, who are we, the 92%? We're not just some statistic, even though it's a really beautiful, very cute, smart, brainy statistic, like 92%. Like, y'all, that's an A everywhere. And if there's one thing we're good at doing, we're good at studying and we're good at getting the A, right? Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Oh my gosh, I'm still like aglow from Hillman Talk. And if y'all don't know what Hillman Talk, look it up. Apparently, Hillman Talk is even on Netflix now. Oh my goodness. Basically, Hillman Talk is like this online university that Black women just kind of started out of nothing, on nowhere, just because we have decided, again, collectively, we're taking a step back and we're resting. What's the first thing we do? We decide to bond intellectually, and we start basically a free online university. So that's why I always like to bring up A and us studying and us intellectually bonding. We are smarty pants as Black women. But again, like the 92% is not just a statistic, it's a movement. It is a declaration. It is a seismic shift that says the world no longer has any choice but to notice. Have y'all noticed that? That since we removed our energy, how everyone is checking and looking for us to the point that they're very angry. That's all right. They can stay. Black women, the 92%, we have been the backbone of democracy, the moral compass of justice, the architects of every major cultural and political movement in this country. And now we're making a different choice. We're choosing to rest. We are choosing to heal. We are choosing to create. We're choosing to build unapologetically on our own terms. And so if you are a Black woman feeling this shift, you are part of the 92%. The 92% is here. We see you. We support you. So go ahead and claim it. Okay? When you hear 92% and when you hear, hey, it's Halicue, just know that we are building spaces where your rest is sacred. It is sacred. I say this, and it is not to upset us. It is to remind us why this is ours. This is our divine right to rest and restore and to regenerate. You all, they used to use us to breed a workforce. Now's the time for that square breathing after I say that. Okay, let's just take a moment. Take a deep breath in, 4 seconds. I'm going to hold it for 4 seconds. We're going to breathe it out for 4 seconds. Then we're going to hold that for 4 seconds. All right, we needed that moment because that was heavy, but it's true. We gotta take that time. I'm gonna help y'all take that time. That's what I'm here for. And I want you to know, when you hear the 92%, just know we are building spaces where your rest is sacred, your joy is prioritized, and your brilliance is nurtured. We are here for you. We are here together in sisterhood as a collective. And again, if you are not a Black woman, but you recognize the necessity of this movement, even though it probably hurts a little bit. I know it hurts. I know y'all want to keep doing group projects, but we're not doing group projects no more. If there's anything Black women know, it is that the definition of insanity is doing things over and over and over the exact same way and expecting some different result. We're not crazy. I know it may sting a little bit. It may feel a little bit weird, but if you know and you recognize and you understand the necessity of this movement, of the 92%, your role is very simple. If you truly want to call yourself an ally, respect it, support it financially, and amplify it. We are not angry. Some of us are angry. It's okay. We get to be angry. We get to live this full human experience. But at this point, y'all, we're not bitter. We are simply free. And I would say it's time to say goodbye, but I'm never going to say goodbye to y'all. Y'all can see me like in less than 24 hours. I'm going to be going live on Substack. So get over there. I want you to join the Substack. I also go live on TikTok to chat a little bit and talk a little bit pre and a little bit post podcast recording because it generates so much energy and I want to share that energy with you. I love y'all. I am here for us. I hope after this episode, you know exactly who the 92% are, how we became the 92%, what our mission is moving forward. I hope you enjoy the journaling prompts. Get into them, especially if and when you find yourself saying, like, when am I even going to have any time for myself? Girl, go back and re-listen to these journal prompts again, okay? Go back, take some time with them. Just take 5 minutes. And if you don't even have time to get together pen and paper, just go into some private, quiet space, even if it's in your car during your lunch hour. And just listen to them. Allow yourself to kind of close your eyes and imagine what that would be like. Say it out loud. Say you're journaling out loud when you're in the shower. Some of us don't necessarily need to write something down. We need to speak it. Like somebody like me, I'm a yapper. Like that's the way I need to do it. Use it. This podcast is your resource. And if you need to talk about it, you need to be in community, come on over to Substack. Find me in one of these lives. Let's talk. Let's get into community. Let's have some dialogue with one another. I am here for us. And so listen, until we see each other again, and if you want to, that can literally be within 48 hours. I want you to know that our rest is sacred and divine. We deserve it. This movement, the movement of Black women in the 92%, this is not just soft life for Black girl. I mean, yay. A lot of us are taking that route. And if that's how we got to ease into it, cool. But this is a little bit more than just rest, soft life, meditation. No, there's a reason behind it. We have something so much bigger and so much greater coming. We are the blueprint. We are the truth. And we are going to be integral into the success of this planet, not just this nation, but not for the next 4 years. The next 4 years, we are getting strong. We are getting healed. We are resting with intention, with purpose, for real this time. Ain't no joke. And we're doing it just as they're trying to pull us back in with the crazy news stories. This y'all's president is a stunt queen. He will do anything to pull us back into the fray, to get them clicks, to get them likes. And we are going to deny that entire structure that. We're denying everybody that. You don't get to use us in this attention economy unless it's coming to our channels to hear us and what we got to say. Our podcasts, our YouTube channels, our Substacks. We're not doing that. We're not participating. We're removing our energy respectfully. And we're taking care of ourselves. And this podcast is here. I am here. Hey, it's Halicue is here to remind you to keep choosing yourself over and over and over again. All the love in my heart to the beautiful, the bold, the brilliant Black women of the 92%, and to our allies and the people that support us. And to everybody else, I want you to have the day that you voted for. This is Halicue with Hey, I'm Halicue, and I'm out. Love y'all.